This is Valley News Live at noon.
New at noon, the city of West Fargo has seen a decrease in overall crime, even though the city is growing. The new crime report just released today shows there was an overall 2% decrease in crime in the city from 2019. Violent crimes went down 11% in that same time frame. The West Fargo police chief says the decrease in criminal activity is a testament to the continued partnership between the community and the police department. You can view that full crime report by finding this story on our website. Cass County Sheriff's deputies will start wearing body cameras this week. The sheriff's office contracted with the company Axon to buy the equipment and train their staff. Cass County Sheriff Jesse Johnner says the cameras will increase transparency and hold deputies to higher standards. Johnner says, quote, "I am very excited for the opportunities and safeguards this camera system will provide our community and deputies," end quote. Happening right now, the West Fargo Fire Department is burning a building at the old stockyards. The fire department says it has all the necessary permits and they'll watch the fire to make sure it doesn't get out of control. The stockyards are just west of the Cheyenne River and between Main Avenue and 12th Avenue Northwest. Taking that live look outside right now, this down in Hankin-Sain, you can see the flags blowing in the wind there. Gloomy, and that's kind of the story for much of the area. For what we can expect for the rest of our day, let's head on over to First Alert Storm Team's Summer Schnellbach.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining us. We have had these lingering flurries that just haven't wanted to leave our region since yesterday morning and even the night prior. And that's thanks to enough moisture and instability in our atmosphere. And you can see down across southeastern North Dakota, we've had some of those flurries, even some light snow showers through the morning. They have decreased over the last 2 hours, but we might not be done yet. Still seeing those lingering flurries hanging out in the air. Here's that look again at the Dakota Magic Casino Skycam network, where there had been some accumulating snow in some of those grassy surfaces. And some locations are still seeing temperatures below freezing, so there could definitely be some isolated icy patches on those roadways. It's 32 right now in Fargo, 34 in Grand Forks, 32 in Thief River Falls and in Fergus Falls. Bemidji right at 31 and Detroit Lakes now at 30 degrees. I do anticipate some more warm air, well, quote unquote warm, only in the 30s for today with some fairly significant cloud cover. But Jordan, I have better news coming up in the 7-day planner, and that starts tomorrow. Details will be just in a few minutes.
All right, looking forward to that better news. Summer, thank you. The city of Moorhead is bringing back Cleanup Week this spring. Now this year it will take place over 2 weeks, starting May 3rd and ending on the 14th. Your pickup day depends on your recycling schedule. And for a list of when your junk can be picked up and what is accepted, just find this story on the VNL News app. 2 West Virginia men are charged with assaulting a U.S. Capitol Police officer who later died. Federal prosecutors say the men sprayed Brian Sicknick and 2 other officers in the face with bear spray during that January 6 riot in D.C. Sicknick later collapsed and died, but his cause of death has not yet been determined. The 2 men face a number of charges, including conspiring to injure officers and assaulting federal officers, but they are not charged with Sicknick's death. People in communities decimated by the opioid crisis are set to receive more than $10 billion in a bankruptcy settlement plan filed by Purdue Pharma. The plan makes those funds available for opioid abatement programs, personal injury trusts, and plunges all of Purdue's assets into a new company dedicated to addressing the opioid crisis. Purdue, the maker of OxyContin, is owned by the Sackler family. The settlement plan also calls for the Sacklers to relinquish ownership and their future involvement in pharmaceutical companies. Europe is struggling to contain the 3rd wave of the coronavirus pandemic, triggered by more infectious virus variants. Kier Simmons has more from London.
This morning, half of Italy under lockdown. Venice, Rome and Milan now high-risk red zones. Streets deserted, schools and shops closed again. Exhausted Italians back where they began when the pandemic was first declared a year ago.
It's pretty painful. Things were starting to open up. We're starting to have some hope, and now completely shut down.
In Germany, cases surging. France's hospitals already under pressure. Intensive care patients in Paris relocated to other regions. Europe struggling to contain the 3rd wave of the pandemic, triggered by more infectious coronavirus variants. Dr. Fauci says Europe's struggle is a warning for America.
That's one of the issues, that when you plateau, there's always the risk of a surge. That's exactly what the Europeans have experienced.
Europe's COVID crisis has been fueled in part by a stumbling vaccine rollout. And now Germany, France and Spain among the countries pausing AstraZeneca's vaccine over a small number of vaccine recipients experiencing blood clots, although the company and European health officials say there's no evidence the shot is to blame. A review underway, while experts worry fewer vaccinations will mean even more coronavirus across this struggling continent. Latest news from France is of another virus variant. Little is known about it, but it just adds to this sense of Europe losing the COVID war. Keir Simmons, NBC News, London.
Meanwhile, the World Health Organization is urging caution on countries using vaccine passports to identify who was protected against the coronavirus. Israel, for example, has a green pass system granting certain privileges to citizens who have both doses of the vaccine or who have recovered from COVID-19. China has launched a digital COVID-19 vaccination certificate for its citizens, but the WHO says countries should be exceptionally careful in issuing vaccination certificates.
We need vaccination policies that don't create in themselves inequity, and we need to be very, very careful that the process of certifying vaccination does not result in personal freedoms or human rights being impeded in any way that is not justified.
The European Union has agreed to develop vaccine passports under pressure from some tourism-dependent countries. Moderna is now studying its coronavirus vaccine in children. According to the company, the first pediatric participants have been dosed in the mid to late stage study. The trial will test the safety and efficacy of the two-dose vaccine in children from 6 months to 11 years old. Moderna says it plans to enroll over 6,700 kids in the U.S. and Canada. Moderna announced in December that it was testing the vaccine in adolescents between 12 and 17 years old. In our consumer alert this afternoon, Tinder is helping members swab as they swipe. The online dating service is providing free nasal swab mail-in COVID-19 tests to hundreds of members. 500 will be able to reserve 2 free Everlywell COVID-19 test home collection kits, one for them and one for the match they have been eyeing. That will start Saturday, March 20th at 6 o'clock our time, 6 p.m. rather. Now, according to Tinder, mentions of go on a date hit an all-time high in U.S. bios last month. Rock fans, get ready to sail away at the Red River Valley Fair this summer. The fair announced that Styx will headline the grandstand on Sunday, July 11th. The fair runs from July 9th through the 18th. Other acts at the grandstand include Chris Young and Trace Adkins, just to name a few. It is a big week for North Dakota college football fans up and down the valley. NDSU taking on UND Saturday at the Fargo Dome. The pregame show starts at 1:30, kickoff set for 2:30. As always, we have the best seat in the house, and that's on the KVLY Bison Football Network. Coming up here at noon, should you stay or should you go? Many Americans are eyeing a vacation as COVID rates go down and airline prices stay low. Plus, our weather today, it probably has you inching toward the I should go side. Gloomy, kind of dreary out there. Summer Schnellbach lets us know when we'll see it clear up.